Alright, what's going on, y'all? We're back, and of course we're doing things a little differently today because I normally would have the picture, but I remember having made quite a glaring omission yesterday because during the video I was recording talking about the passing of Jerry West, I was going to read a statement from Michael Jordan, but I realized I didn't get around to that. And of course I just wanted to go through that real quickly, and I wanted to talk about this. This was something that Stephen A. Smith actually ended up reading on the air during ESPN's First Take, and of course specified that it was from Michael Jordan, and it is as follows. I am deeply saddened at the news of Jerry's passing. He was truly a mentor and like an older brother to me. I valued his friendship and knowledge. I wish I could have played against him as a competitor, but the more I came to know him, I wish I had been his teammate. And it goes on to say a bit more than that, but I just wanted to cover that little bit very quickly because, something that I also omitted, which I feel like during the original taping of that video, I definitely got out there because I talked about how, I used to play NBA 2K, I believe it was 2K12 or 13, might have even been 11, but either way, the way that I was able to play the Jerry West storyline and everything. I just wanted to talk about that because whether it's things like NBA 2K or just really what we know about the league today, we don't have any of that without Jerry West, and I think it's just very important to acknowledge his memory and just, keep that alive for everything that it is, because he truly is the logo, and that was a statement from the GOAT himself. So definitely something to be taken into consideration. But with that in mind, we're gonna look at something else that somebody wanted to throw out there for consideration, and I don't know why this has to be a thing, but yeah. Golly, I know things are bad. One, for the side of the Dallas Mavericks, particularly for the fact that you're literally in danger of getting swept right now. I mean, I'm struggling to see a scenario at this point where, actually, in all honesty, I feel like I could see the Mavericks winning Game 4 just to survive and make sure they don't let the Celtics celebrate on their own floor. And that's fine if that's the case. I mean, that's something you should have just did last night. I mean, I don't know any other way to look at that. How he wasn't able to get that, how they weren't able to find a way to win that, and they actually did so many things right, is just really, really wild to me. And I guess I can't say it's as if the Mavericks let them hang in there, but even for as good as they were doing, for as hot as Kyrie came out, they still needed to do a bit better. I don't know that we necessarily got as much as what we should have from the likes of a Dante Exum, Josh Green, or even a Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleba, or even a Derek Lively, who actually, at least from what I could tell, was probably one of the best players off the bench, if not the best. But more than anything else, the idea that we're talking about pairing this man, taking him away from the Mavericks to put him with Jokic, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not impossible. I could see something wild like that going down. I don't see it happening, but anything's possible. But, man, I kind of think we gotta take that a little more carefully into consideration because, yeah, I mean, when you got this dude over here complaining about foul or officiating or having issues with it, I don't know, I kind of have a tough time with that because I was actually talking about it with a coworker today. It was as if, it was like the between quarter interview. It was the Mavericks before the pre-fourth quarter interview that they had, which for the past was reserved exclusively for the coaches between the first and second and third and fourth quarters. But they've gotten the players involved. Last night it was Daniel Gafford on behalf of the Dallas Mavericks. And this was wild to me because just few words that rung truest amongst anything else. The proof is in the pudding. And I was with them starting the fourth, I believe, down 17 at that point. And this is where I'm going to go into this man that's about to be the Finals MVP is concerned. But granted, this man is doing everything that he can at this point. I mean, I don't think that's any secret. And given that he's been dealing with some sort of an injury, I don't remember the exact details, but clearly it hasn't been enough to keep him out of any of the games because he's still coming through, he's still doing Luka things, and boy is he ever, because even Brian Windhorst was quick to point it out after the game on the Scott Van Pelt edition of SportsCenter. This is something that he did during, I want to say, the previous Olympics back in Tokyo, where he just was in a elimination game and just lost his cool about it and got ejected, and of course Slovenia ended up getting eliminated. Same thing's about to happen here. I mean, I don't understand why you let yourself get to this point being one, the star of Luka's caliber. I mean, we're talking about this season's leading scorer, but more than anything else, I think what's more concerning about this for me, you're already looking to have something more out of Kyrie as it is. But to have Luka go out, I believe it was 4 minutes and some change left in the game, it's just hard to say how you can overcome things like that, and that's something Luka's really going to have to work on, whether it's in Dallas or if somehow, some way he were to come here to Denver. But nonetheless, that's far from just the only issue. The real issue is this right here, and this is the center of all of what we're talking about right here, because this was the very call that got Luka fouled out of the game. It was a second challenge that Jason Kidd took a chance on, and of course lost yet another timeout on, because there was just no way they were going to get that overturned. I mean, Luka wasn't just, not only did he not have his feet set, but clearly he was moving his leg to the point to where he was still trying to cut off Brown, as futile as that was, and that's just it. I mean, I just actually took a moment before I started recording this to watch highlights from the game back on January 26th, which was out in Dallas, much like where the series is right now. And I just don't know any other way to look at it. Luka cannot guard this dude. Let's just be honest. That's what's happening right now. Luka cannot guard this dude, and why they haven't had anybody else picking him up is really hard to understand at this point. I mean, why isn't it Derek Jones? Again, we could have Tim Hardaway Jr., who I feel like is a little bit stronger of a defensive swingman than Luka is, and maybe even so much the same as with Dante Exum or even Josh Green. But the bottom line to this is not even so much just the fact that, Jaylen has been making Luka look as bad as he has. He's been doing everything he has, basically working his way to becoming the obvious Finals MVP. I mean, again, with said co-worker earlier today, I was saying, if not for Jaylen Brown, more than likely the Finals MVP would probably be Drew Holiday, because that dude's been putting it down and he's got the ring to prove it. But that's really the one thing that I just have to really think about this, and this is something I wanted to actually put out there. I mean, just going back throughout the playoffs, of course, it was Anthony Edwards and the Wolves that took out Joker and the Nuggets, with Joker being, at the time, considered still the best player in the world. And maybe people still do consider him that. But for my money, I was at the point to where it's looking like Anthony Edwards is kind of taking that from him, and he's probably about to win the championship to prove it. Man, enter Luka to do what he did, only to be lopped off in the way that he ended up dismantling the Timberwolves. Well, him and Kyrie and some of the others as well. But they're not getting enough of Kyrie or the others for it to matter. And again, we're talking about the leading scorer this season in Luka. And with that, you would have thought that had the Mavericks won, we'd be talking about Luka as the best player in the world. So my question to y'all at this point now, why are we not talking about Jaylen Brown as potentially the best player in the world now? Not just the best player on the Celtics, but possibly the best player in the world. I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all do what y'all will with that, and I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I'll get at y'all.